Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk with a Vulnerable Angel and friends. I am your host, the Vulnerable Angel, Dominica May. And my guest tonight is we just have one of my regular guests, Sharad. Mike was not able to join us tonight. So welcome, Sharad.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure to have you on this show. I love it. So this week's topic is dates that hold significance. And the reason I decided to have this topic this week, before I get started, before I explain that, if you are not familiar with this live stream, if this is your first time joining for Real Talk with the Vulnerable Angel and friends, what we do is we pick a topic every week. And we tend to have vulnerable, personal, sometimes uncomfortable conversations, drawing from our real life experiences to try and inspire other people to have such conversations, because the world needs more vulnerability and sharing authenticity. So, as I said, this week's topic is dates that hold significance. And the reason I chose this topic this week was because
Tell us why.
yeah,
Tell us why you chose this.
if you don't follow me on Instagram, or if you haven't seen my post yet, yesterday I had in my calendar an anniversary that never actually became an anniversary, but I haven't been able to bring myself to delete it from my calendar. And this was the anniversary of when I had reconnected intimately with my Malaysian ex after more than 9 years of not speaking with each other. And I don't know what it is specifically that has made it hard for me to not delete the event from my calendar. I hope it will not still be there next year. But I was just kind of I don't know, trying to reflect on it a little bit. I still haven't been checking up on his social media for like more than 10 months now. But I have, as I established last week's episode, I think I have been listening to a podcast that he is part of late, because it's good background sound for me while I am packing up my house to prepare myself to sell my house before I relocate to another country. So that is the reason I chose this topic for this week. Do you have any thoughts on the topic before I get started with our questions, Sharon?
No, I think it's very apropos that you chose this topic for today, and yeah, and I suppose it's both. I think it's very very important for us to remember. Obviously, like there was one thing I learned very early on in school. Like I think a teacher told me those who ignore the past are doomed to repeat it.
Mm.
So let's have that.
Yeah, that's definitely been a thing. But I tried to pick a kind of more neutral way of phrasing. Like, I didn't want to just be like anniversaries or like sad dates or have celebrations and stuff. I wanted to have the whole spectrum of dates that hold significance, which can also be like because yesterday was also 9/11. Which was the anniversary of the falling of the Twin Towers in 2001. So that is also a date of significance for non-personal reasons. Yeah, so sure. And I also know somebody whose birthday it was yesterday as well. So it's just like, man, it's such a day, right?
Yeah.
It's such a day. Of course, that was 2 days ago for Sharad, because it is Saturday where
That's correct.
Friday here for me in California.
Time
But
travel.
Sharad is in Malaysia.
Yes, I am.
Yes. All right. So, all right, we'll get started with our first question. And as per usual, our questions come from ChatGPT. Per my prompts. ChatGPT knows me well enough now that it asks me, "Are you ready for your questions?" now that you've decided on your topic. All right, here we go. What's one date on the calendar that always stirs emotion for you and why?
Let me think about this. Would you like to go first?
Mm, so always, it's like how far back? I think probably I always isn't necessarily the case, but probably the most significant one would be my mum's death day, which was the end of May. I don't always acknowledge it on the day itself. Sometimes it will be significant, like a few days beforehand, especially around like Mother's Day as well, because Mother's Day was a week after her death day in 2005. Um, so around that period is generally very emotional for me, but it can fluctuate of how emotional year to year. Um, yeah,
Mm.
that's I would say that's the most significant because it's still relevant today because I still miss her, even though it's like 20 years ago now, right? 2005, as I said. Um, I feel like my life would be so much different if she hadn't left the world when she did. God, that means she would be 70 now.
Do you think maybe in some ways it's almost whenever you have that feeling, there is some positives that come out of it because you can actually visualize her face, her smile, her voice, things she would do to annoy you, things she would do to make you smile, and in some
You know
ways,
what? Here's okay. So here's a really, I don't know, kind of weird thing that I remember, like her pulling this one face where she just like, when she's doing like a kind of a thinking mode, and her like this part would just like droop down, and she's like, but it's like very specific. I can see exactly what it looks like on her face. It's very contemplative, like.
mm. I know it's the same thing with me. Every time I think of my mom, like there was, I remember we were just going through a marathon of Two and a Half Men, and mom, I think she didn't laugh for quite a while. She was also reading her book, and there was one fart joke, and out of nowhere, mom just went "Ah," and just stopped laughing, and that became a running theme because my parents they were like. A datuk and a datin. So, like for our viewers, it's a sir and a lady kind of equivalent. And I used to really rip my mum for that. And my mum was a doctor as well. So I would be like, Mum, you're a doctor. You have been knighted by the queen and the king. And here you are laughing at fart jokes. It's just like, it's so funny. Ah.
Look, it takes everyone. I don't think is there anyone that does not laugh at a fart joke? Because if you don't, then you're really stuck up, honestly.
Not just that. If you don't laugh, I think there's something inside you that's broken. So the
Right.
odds are you're a
Yeah.
serial killer. So yeah.
Or if someone told you that like you just cannot laugh at things like that, it's rude. It's rude to laugh.
It's a bodily
So you're just
function,
so
okay? It's normal.
emotionally stunted because you were told never to laugh at fart jokes.
Yeah, so that always that I mean yeah, every time I think of my mom, that just yeah. So even though there were times but especially when she was ill and when we had all kinds of different problems, yeah, they will pop up. But obviously, that's like a literal drop in the ocean compared to the good.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean occasionally I think about um the harder times that I experienced with my mom. I think I've talked about them on this live stream sometimes, and the impact and weight that it's had on me. But I am more inclined to look at the positive impact that she had on my life. And man, I just it would be very different if if she'd been around to help me with a lot more things. Like I think that one of the reasons it's so easy for me to decide, not easy, but like in the scheme of things, I guess it's easy for me to decide to pack up my life here in California and decide to move back to Malaysia, where I lived for 5.5 years before living here in California, is because I have no ties to where I'm living right now. I have no family here. My mum passed away 20 years ago. My immediate family, as in my dad and my siblings, are not here. You know, I don't want to specify where my brother is because he doesn't talk to my dad and my dad watches the stream. But my dad and my sister are back in Australia where I was born and grew up. And so, like, I don't have the same kind of familial connections that a lot of other people seem to have that keep them tied to specific places sometimes. And I don't know if my mum was still alive, if I would have stayed in Australia instead.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, it's always the what if scenario we always run through our heads. The million and one hypotheticals, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
tricky, but at the end of the day, like those memories are amazing. They're treasured. They'll never replace anything else. So I mean, who knows? But you are who you are because of her.
That's right. So your answer to this question, Sharad, a
Actually,
date on the calendar that stirs
that,
an emotion?
that actually kind of correlates with mine actually to an extent. I remember when I was a child. I can't remember exactly how old. Maybe anywhere from about 10 to 11. I'd venture to guess. I might be wrong. It was Christmas Day, Christmas morning, in fact.
Mm.
And I remember like those uh, my mother waking me up, and she's like, "Santa bought you presents," and I was like, "Ah!" And I remember just running down in my PJs where the Christmas tree was. And even though my family were not Christians at all, but we celebrated Christmas, just the idea of the tree and presents and families and what have you. So we did that, and I remember like that morning I remember mum made me a cup of hot chocolate, and like she had like little sprinkles here and there, marshmallows and all that. And she's like, "Oh, there's some Christmas telly on. Why don't you go watch that?" And I distinctly remember watching the Pink Panther Christmas special.
I
The
didn't even know
animated.
there was one.
Yeah,
I know the Pink Panther. I didn't know that it had a Christmas
yeah,
special.
yeah. So basically, it was. I think correct. I might be wrong-ish, but like it was him. He was in prison, and for some reason, and then as you would, and then he got out because it was Christmas, and he would just like cause all kinds of chaos and help people and what have you. And I just remember like just being in my PJs, having my hot drink wrapped around in my duvet, and just watching and just feeling just happy and content. And like I could hear people outside like singing and everything, and it was just a good day. It was just really really nice. And I just remember like every time I think back to Christmas, I always think back to that morning.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I have any specific Christmases that I remember in detail like that. Um, I guess like the one Christmas that I guess kind of holds significance would be my son's first Christmas. We were living in Malaysia when he was born, but we went back to Australia that year for Christmas and spent Christmas with my godparents' family, extended family and friends at their place. And they had this tradition that was not a tradition when I was growing up, but it had become a tradition by that time. And it was like a playing a game where like everyone brings a Secret Santa kind of gift, and all the gifts go in the middle of the circle, and then it's kind of like a pass the parcel kind of game. I don't remember exactly, but like eventually everyone has a chance to grab a present from the circle, and they unwrap it, and then they put the present in front of them, and then but like you can also, instead of choosing a present that is in the circle that's wrapped, you can also steal a present from in front of somebody else because they're unwrapped. And I
Nice.
just I know. And this particular year, with my son being only a few months old, he got this like frog plush toy, and it became like his soothing toy that he needed to sleep with. Like he couldn't sleep unless he had this toy with him. So I mean, I guess that's like the most significant memory that I have of Christmas. But like it was so, this toy was so significant that like we had to travel with it everywhere. And then when we went to Langkawi, um, a few months or a year or whatever later, we forgot to bring it with us, and he could not sleep. So
Oh,
we had to go find a different plush toy that would be comparable for him to be able to sleep with.
that's cute.
Yeah, yeah. Still has both of those toys today, and
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Lovely.
the one that we got in Langkawi, he's like created a character based off of that plush toy that is part of his stories and everything. So
That's amazing.
significant or what?
That's awesome. Good
Yeah,
parent. Yeah, very good.
yeah. All right. Next question. Do you quietly acknowledge certain significant dates without telling others, like a loss, a divorce, or a turning point?
Ooh, tricky.
Secret
Uh,
significant dates.
mm, Not particularly. The only thing I can think of really is are two dates. No, but not specific ones. I can't tell them to you directly off the top of my head. But in recent years, it's probably when I first fell ill with Guillain-Barré syndrome, and the first day of me returning back to Malaysia, like following that illness. And even though it feels like it has been years, but it only feels like maybe 2 or 3 years max. Really, it feels. And one thing I really acknowledge, because like in the day itself, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. Whenever you wake up, the older we get, the older whenever you wake up, you'll feel like a dead cockroach. Everything's all intertwined, and when you wake up, everything starts cracking, and you need a bit more time to get up
Mhm.
and what have you. And yeah, and like that was what it was like for me, uh, like times 10, because with my illness, my muscles would atrophy very, very quickly. It doesn't just mean after a decent night's sleep. Even if I had been sitting down for longer than, gosh, maybe about half an hour, my legs would particularly stiffen up, and with the atrophy and all. So one thing I always kind of look back to, it's almost like almost like looking back at a near death experience. Like I've been
Mm.
given a second chance, and whenever I'm feeling low or just kind of meh about everything, I just kind of look back and just going, dude, you shouldn't even be here. Take the W.
Yeah.
What about you?
Whew. Um, yeah, I was thinking of a couple of things, but I feel like they're all things that I have told to other people, but maybe not on a like grand scale kind of way. So for example, the date that I mentioned of yesterday, it's not the kind of date that you would generally be telling people. I announced it on Instagram. Look, I'm still acknowledging this anniversary that isn't even an anniversary because we never even made it to a year. um, but then I remembered actually the date And then the other date I was thinking was my divorce. I'll go into that in a little bit as well. But the other date I was thinking of after I got past those ones would be my Malaysian ex's birthday, because it was also the first day that we ever slept together. And so his birthday is significant, not just because it's his birthday, but it was because it was the first day that we got that intimate with each other. And
Happy birthday to him. Yeah.
that that was what the gift that I wanted to give him for his birthday. My ex-husband booked the hotel because we were polyamorous at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And yeah, so I have strong memories of parts of that day. Not like when I reconnected with him, he definitely remembered more of that day than I did. Like he remembered us going to dinner at a pizza place. I'm like, did we? I didn't remember that. I remembered more like him showing me the only Wes Anderson film that I hadn't seen at the time, which is Moonrise Kingdom. And like I just was just like so infatuated that I was with somebody who also was a fan of Wes Anderson films. That like I could connect with him on this. But yeah, like it was a very like there was a lot of lead up and excitement to that. There were some aspects that were like overwhelming because I got called up by a friend who wanted to see me like just before I was supposed to go out, and I didn't want to like give away that I was doing that I had plans because nobody knew about us being involved. But yeah, but on the other hand, like there was one day that I did actually tell others about this, and that was last year, not this year. It was last year when I'd just gotten back into doing stand-up comedy again, and I was performing stand-up comedy. I think it was like technically the day before his birthday, but at the time of day that I was performing, it was his birthday in Malaysia. So I did this whole like not the entire set, but like part of the set was dedicated to me talking about that experience that I had with him. But yeah, I think that's the only time that I have kind of talked about that date being significant, and I was like thinking about it in that context. But yeah, the other one, as I said, was my divorce. I don't always acknowledge it to people, especially not nowadays. But and I didn't even notice it necessarily on the day, but I generally around that time of year, like the anniversary of my divorce was 31st of August. I don't think I think it just passed me by this year. But there are times. Yeah, it's like it's not that long ago now. It was like 2 weeks, right? Yeah, just about. We're the 12th. Anyway, but there have been times where I have acknowledged it, like not necessarily on the day, but like my first trip back to Malaysia after moving here was 2 years ago. And it was just after my divorce anniversary. And so my welcome back dinner, it kind of came up. It was like, oh yeah, I just had because it's also Merdeka Day, right? Is it 31st of is Malaysia Day or Merdeka Day?
I think so. Let me keep talking.
It's a significant holiday in Malaysia as well. So Malaysia's Independence Day.
31st August, correct? Yes.
Yeah. And so it was really funny that my divorce anniversary So my Independence Day is also Malaysia's Independence Day.
Hey, Merdeka, good for you, man.
And so because I just come back to Malaysia just after that, it came up in conversation. It's like this trip back felt like a reward or a celebration of my divorce, because it was 3 years after my divorce. I got divorced in 2020. So it's like, this is how far I've come. I've like worked myself up to a good paying job so that I'm able to afford to come out here and see all my friends again. And I'm doing this all on my own, and it's amazing. So yeah, it was nice to kind of bring that up. And my Malaysian ex was there as well, and that was the first time that we'd seen each other since
Right.
since before he ghosted me in 2014. So it was like such a like weird kind of I don't know. I have very weird arcs in my life. I feel like it's like genuinely so many parts of my life could be turned into a movie, which is why I have written a super long memoir that's going to be 2 books.
Did, did you feel did you feel the added pressure by performing because he was there?
No, what? It's I didn't perform at that event. That was my welcome back dinner. Or are you
All right.
talking about when I performed about him? No, he was not in the audience because he was in Malaysia. This was during another period where we weren't speaking to each other, that I acknowledged in this particular way. Because I got back into performing stand-up comedy after he had disappeared on me again, and that was like one of my ways of coping. And so I wrote a lot of stand-up material about my experiences with him because it was genuinely like, this is how I'm going to heal the heartbreak of losing him a second time. Yeah, so no, he wasn't in the audience. He was in Malaysia. This was at an open mic in California.
Actually, that reminds me. I mean, this isn't a stand-up thing, but a performance thing. About a couple of months ago, my sister and I went to KL PAC, the Kuala Lumpur Performing Arts Center, to see a show, and we were getting our tickets and we were preparing to go inside. And some of the people that were working there kind of looked at me and they went, have I seen you before? I'm like, I don't think so. I don't recognize you. They're like, no, I have. And I was like, oh. And apparently, like, they were like, wait, yeah, you performed here a few years ago. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I did a comedy sketch show called Industry Live, which I wrote for as well. And they were like, yeah, we saw that. Or, yeah, we saw the footage. And I was just like, that was pretty dope. That was very dope, actually. So I remember like seeing that, and then after the show, the 2 head patrons of KL PAC, Joe Hasham and Farida, I saw them like walking out, and I was like, "Oh, hey guys, good show." And they were like, "Hey, long time no see. Hope you're doing well." I'm like, "Guys, you haven't seen me in over 10 years. How do you remember me?" And so that was a really nice touch. That made me feel just really really good, and it made me think, well, I mean, if it's been so long, maybe it's time to maybe think about venturing back. So who knows?
Dude, I felt like that sometimes for some of the people that I saw again when I on that first trip back to Malaysia, because it had been, over 9 years since I'd lived there. And genuinely, like, I went to a curated open mic at KL PAC on that trip, and it was hosted by a comedian called Charmaine Othman.
She's really nice.
She's very amazing.
Nice. Very nice.
There was a part of me that, like, she's so good, she's not going to remember me. Like, that was what was going through my head. Like, she's not going to remember me. And like, but I attended the event with a friend of mine called Calvin, who I'm sure you know.
Another awesome guy.
And as we were going up the stairs, Charmaine was coming downstairs, and she's like, "Oh, Dominica!" Like, Oh my God, you remember me? So like, it's just amazing to have like those kinds of encounters of like, oh yeah, of course I remember you.
Yeah,
Then like, and Gajen Nad is another one. Like I
he's
didn't
awesome.
think that he would remember me. Because there's like, even though I knew so many people in the scene, there were a lot of people that I didn't really speak to that much. And so I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I'm a white girl from Australia that makes it hard to forget me. It's like
Yeah,
there's not a lot of those in the comedy scene
yeah. I
in
mean,
Malaysia.
you're what we might call a unicorn, I think, because you like you stand out. But it's
You
really
stand
funny
out.
because like now that you mentioned Charmaine, like it was a few months ago. My sister and I went to go see stand up, and we were walking upstairs, and Charmaine was, I think she was the host of the show, and we were one of the first people there, so we quickly got our seats. My sister was like, make sure we get good seats, so we came super early. We were the first people there, and when we got up, Charmaine kind of looked at me and she was like, you, and I just went, you, and she's like, fill me in, you. And I just like, yeah, I used to film a while back third, and she was like, oh my god, like that's how blah blah blah, and I was like, yeah, very good to see. But she was so kind and really generous, and that kind of gives you that warm fuzzy feeling. And yeah,
Yeah.
it was really nice. She's lovely. She's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's those kinds of encounters that are kind of the draw that make me want to go back and move to Malaysia again, because say it just feels so much more welcoming.
Uh,
Especially like, I don't know, I just like my last few trips back have been a lot more like uh connected in
yeah.
ways that I didn't feel as connected when I lived there before. And I think the big difference is like how much I've grown as a person since my divorce, and like how like more closed off I was when I was married because of the impact that my ex-husband had on me at the time,
Mhm.
right? um Not like being fully aware of it. I think part of it was like social anxiety and stuff that might have been exacerbated by the marriage that I was in. But yeah, so like I just it I think it'd be much more uh I think it'll be different to live there under these circumstances that I'm in now, where I'm not married. I don't have a committed relationship that I can just like enjoy myself and do what it is that I want to do for myself, right? Um and yeah, and I feel a lot closer to my Malaysian friends now, especially as a result of those trips back, and feeling like everyone was happy to see me every time.
Yeah, of course. But a quick question: how do you feel the American comics were in comparison to the Malaysian comics? Were they just as welcoming? Was it like, and also like a familial kind of bond? Because like, correct
Uh,
me if I'm wrong, but in Malaysia, everyone, in my experience anyway, everyone was super welcoming, really nice. You'd almost be, if you wanted to pursue it, even on a weekly, like, like open night basis, they would literally welcome you with open arms, and you'd be part of the family. Was it something similar in your experience in America, or the complete opposite?
no, I feel like I don't know, there's more bro culture here, more competitive, because there's a lot more people doing it as well.
Well, there's a lot
And
more options there, a lot more places to perform there
yeah,
compared.
but they're not all great. And but I've never had the experience where like everyone at an open mic goes out and gets
Goes
a
out for
drink
food, goes out for
gets a
drinks.
drink or food together afterwards. It doesn't have that kind of culture here. At least that hasn't been my experience when I've gone to that sort of thing. um and yeah, so it's very different culture. Now granted, maybe it's different once you work your way up a little bit more and people expect to see you around more often. But like when there's way more people doing it, I mean, sure, you're going to run into the same people, a few of the same people here and there, but it's not to the same extent as it is in Malaysia, where everyone just knows each other and hangs out. I'm pretty sure it's not as I mean, I'm remembering more from 12-ish years ago when I was living in Malaysia. That's how it was. There's a lot more people doing stand up and open mics and stuff now, and I've definitely heard some of the more experienced stand-up comedians in Malaysia talk about how too fresh the younger generation is, and they all just want to do get known through social media and stuff. They don't actually work and craft on the jokes, so they don't work on their craft, and they don't even follow actual professional comedians to get some idea about how to do comedy well.
But it's really interesting. And I remember when we were talking about other comedians and what have you. Like, one thing that really surprised me is that no one openly badmouthed each other, even though, let's say, you had a comedian who maybe personally wasn't your favorite or you didn't get along with. Nobody ever really spoke bad. They were just like, "Oh, so and so is performing." They're like, "Oh, okay. I'm going to go to the bathroom." That was the closest thing you could get. Yeah. So
maybe nobody openly talked about it, but they certainly did one-on-one.
Yeah. So listen, I'm not going to name names since we're recording, but I remember in some open mic nights, somebody would come up and then we'd hear a whisper in the back going, "All right, he's going to say this. This is going to happen. He's going to say this," and like clockwork, it would happen. And I remember we just be like that. And after a while, it became a point where, let's say, the same person would come up. Everyone just went, "All right, cigarette break, bathroom. All right, cool." And all the comedians would just go because we knew. But that was the most, in my experience, that was the most that kind of kind of stuff.
I don't think I ever openly badmouthed the one that I felt was my least favorite, because he was the most crass, and I felt like his jokes were just for shock value, and I just didn't find him funny at all.
There are comedians where that is,
that's their thing. Yeah. But I mean, I was connected to him on social media and stuff, but then I don't know, a few years ago, I don't remember exactly when, I heard some controversy surrounding him. And it was the kind of controversy that I'm like, yeah, I'm not surprised. And I was immediately unfriended him on Facebook, because I don't want to be associated with somebody who has been accused of assaulting scenarios kind of stuff with women. Yeah. It's I don't remember the exact details and anything. I was like, yep, I'm going to pass. I didn't feel comfortable with him anyway, so good riddance.
Yeah. Is this someone that I know?
I think so, but we'll talk about it off stream.
We'll talk about it off stream.
I'm not going to name him.
Name him and shame him. Let's make him even more.
No, I'm not going to do that. No, I think he probably got cancelled for a while. I have no idea what he's doing now. But as a result of that situation.
It's really interesting you just mentioned that word cancelled. Have you ever experienced someone who was quote unquote cancelled and then they later made their return? And it doesn't have to be in a comedian kind of situation, but any situation.
Do I know someone personally, or just in general in the public eye?
Both, maybe. But let's start with personally.
I don't think I know anyone personally, because I associate with good people.
Yeah. Make good choices, make good friends.
Yeah, I try to keep it that way. I don't know, if somebody rubs me the wrong way, I'm just like, I'm gonna go over here.
Mm.
Um, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, like in my experience with, especially with the entertainment industry, as you said, people tend to talk because a lot of habits come out quite quickly. And in my experience, it becomes almost like a hidden secret where everyone knows about it, no one talks about it, but they warn people against it. Like, hey, just FYI,
yeah.
so and so, and then they go, oh, hey, buddy, how's it going? So it's like a professional kind of no, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah, this particular person that I was talking about, the I wrote about this one experience that I had with him in my memoir, which you may recall when I bring it up because you've read the entire thing.
perhaps.
It was when I was at Time Out KL Comedy Thursday to do a set, and he showed up and like just out of the blue gave me a hug, and I looked over at my Malaysian partner who I was with at the time. It was like with a kind of like expression like what the fuck is going on kind of thing. And then like after it was over, like he asked me like, "Are
After it
you
was
okay?"
over.
No, like after he like let go of me from the hug, my Malaysian partner was like, were you okay with that? I'm like, no. No, I was not. That was so weird. Because I'd never had like he'd never shown that kind of behavior towards me like ever before that. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm. I don't like it. Like just an FYI, like it can be tricky to read the room. Like for example, I remember like I met up with a friend of mine. This is years ago, uh, and I went in for a hug, and he went, "Oh, we're hugging now, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, don't make this weird, bro." Yeah,
Well, see,
so-
I can't. I don't make it weird in those situations. I just feel it in my body,
yeah.
but I don't say anything because I'm like I don't know, because I'm a woman and I've been taught to appease rather than make things awkward.
Well,
So
like
if I know that something is going to be awkward, then I avoid
yeah.
doing it.
I don't
Yeah.
think like a general rule of thumb. Even though now I'm a lot more conscious about it. I always make sure you ask because you never know, right? But prior to that, whenever I hug someone, you could tell about how hard they were hugging you back. If they were
Yeah.
kind of instinctively like leaning away, I just do the and I do, and then I let go. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. I think when this person hugged me, I was like, what? Like I don't think I even touched his back or anything. I was like, what?
were you doing the ballerina? Just
Well, no, I didn't even. I was like, my fingertips didn't even touch. It was just like, okay.
Mm, yeah. As long as you
um,
didn't do the nice to see you. Yes. Mm.
yeah, yeah. I don't think so. I don't remember all the details. This was like 2014. Okay, it's like 11 years ago now. All right, are
Oh
we
wow.
ready for our next question? We kind of got a little bit off topic. As fun as it is to reminisce about such things. Our next question. Wait, did you have? Yeah, you answered that question
I
before.
did. I did. Yeah.
I was like, just wanted to make sure I wasn't skipping. How do you decide whether to celebrate, mourn, or simply reflect on an important date each year?
I think it's tricky because I think mourning is a very, very complicated situation. I always think of mourning like equivalent to, let's say, finding yourself in quicksand. Like, no matter how much you struggle, if you struggle more, you're just going to sink deeper.
Mm,
And previously, I used to mourn. I became very. I lived in a state of perpetual self pity because at this time I was bedbound. I had to have everything done for me, and my short term memory was really, really bad. I'd fall asleep, I'd wake up, and my memory would wipe. And for the longest time, I thought that was how long it would be. And it became very, very, just really, really um self-pitying, and I didn't. I mean, looking back on it now, it was quite sad because I was thinking, oh, I could have been this, I could have been a contender, that kind of thing. Made me mourn. And but then as I slowly and slowly and very slowly got stronger, it almost became this kind of like spark that ignited me. And I remember thinking, oh, I was mourning, oh, I could have been this, I could have done that. I'm like, well, like I still can do this, I still can do that. And in terms of modern society today, we always see in let's say 99% of things, people only find their niche much later on in life. It's not just an instant thing and you're good to go. Yeah, I mean, obviously there are people who have, and I remember thinking, there's somebody I went to college with in America, and he's become a very very big YouTuber.
Mm.
He's been, he from what I've read, he's even got his own warehouse, his own production house.
Wow.
He's making a lot of money, and I remember like the my initial first instinct was, all right, first I'm very proud of him. And then I was just like, well, I used to be in the same circles as this guy. This could have been me. I could have been a contender.
Hmm.
But later on, like I just realized, hey, I should be proud of him because if he can do that, why can't I? So it's one of those kind of journeys, and even though let's say you mourn, and not really a specific date, but when you mourn, it's quick to accept it,
Mm.
understand it, and then let it go.
Mm. Mm.
What about yourself?
How do I decide whether to celebrate, mourn, or simply reflect on an important date each year? I would say it depends on my relationship with the event at a given time. The event or person or whatever the significance of that date is, right? So, like if it's my mum's death, for example, how am I feeling about my relationship with her right now? Am I in a celebration mood of remembering who she was? That happens sometimes. I think I blogged about about her last year on the anniversary, and I was writing about some more of the positive things that I got from her. So that was the celebration. Um, uh, I don't remember. It might have been her birthday rather than her death day, but in
But
any
yeah, yeah.
in any sense. So that's what my relationship was at the time. If and then like it also depends on like how much time has passed. Like I can be like, if I'm reflective on how much I've grown since then, that can happen sometimes. So like with yesterday's anniversary, for example, which was a non-anniversary, not real anniversary, but uh, I would say that I reflected on
Mm,
it with the post that I made to Facebook because I was thinking about how I have grown since things have, since we parted ways, because I'm at a place now where I just realized, I think, as I was working on this post, that I don't experience. I was aware of this before, but I hadn't expressed it in these particular words. That I realized that I no longer felt this sense of loss when I listened to my ex's voice anymore, as a result of having gone back and listened to some of his old podcast episodes. I could listen to it, to him speak without having this profound sense of loss of, oh no, we're not together anymore. So um which is where I was at like a year ago. It was like so bad because like a year ago, right, I also acknowledged that anniversary on Facebook, and I like in a very limited filter, just to people that had opted into hearing my rants and ravings about my memoir, because I was working on my memoir at the time, this time last year, and specifically writing about that event on that day. um, and it's weird, right? To remember all of like the specific details of all the intimacy that we went through, you know, when he told me that he wanted to kiss me, and like the steps that I went through to make him be the one to say that first, because I didn't want to like, as much as I wanted to, I didn't want to be the first one to say it. It's like going through all the steps of like very detailed description, and like, thank God I haven't revisited that recently, because I think I might be more emotional like if I was rereading that kind of thing. And I don't think it's a good time for me to be, I don't think I'm ready to revisit all of those specific memories in such great detail now. So yeah, the more reflective stuff yesterday I think was good. But the other thing is, I woke up to hundreds of views on my Instagram posts yesterday.
Ooh, congratulations.
And I've been this is not common. And but like, because I've been tracking my analytics on Instagram for several months now, like keeping very, very detailed data logs of which posts are getting views and how many views and like what types of views and all of this. So I have noticed that there has been a trend of every now and then I will have a splurge of views from either a non-follower or a follower, and they usually have already seen the posts before, so that they're coming back again and they're viewing my post from my profile. So this happened again yesterday morning, and I've long suspected that my Malaysian ex is the most likely person to do this, because who the fuck else would spend this much time going through so many of my Instagram posts? Maybe I have a stalker, I don't know, but like, it's the kind of behavior of
the engagement. Keep it up.
it's the kind of behavior of someone that already has some kind of attachment or emotional connection to me. Generally, that's my interpretation of it. So waking up to seeing over 300 views
That's
on
all.
these posts,
That's awesome.
I was like, does this date, does my ex also remember this date as the anniversary of when we hooked up again? and he's just like obsessing over me because of this specific date. I don't know, but like that was one of the reasons why I ended up doing a whole post about it on Instagram, because I'm just like, what the fuck is going on right now? This is bizarre. But not only that, okay, so I thought it was just like 300-ish views. I wake up this morning to check the data for how many total views I actually got yesterday.
Mhm.
And it was 1,817 non-follower views,
That's dope.
which is more than double the number of views I have ever had in a single
Wow.
day.
Congratulations. That's huge.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just this one person or
Keep
maybe
up the
two
engagement.
people
Keep it up.
that is
Keep it up.
obsessed with me. And I'm just like I really want to get into the mindset. I want to understand, but I'm like, I'm never going to understand unless this person decides to reach out and tell me. So just like a big, massive confusion. So maybe that's why like my outlet is, I'm going to lay it all bare on Instagram, because this person is clearly stalking me. So they're going to read this post too.
Might
And
as well.
we'll see what happens. Am I going to scare them off and make them so that they don't come back, or are they going to be obsessed with this post too? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think the fact that I have been, you know, having this suspicion for a while now has meant that I don't know. I don't experience the loss in the same way that I did a year ago, because I have this feeling that he is missing me but not doing anything about it, like in my obvious awareness. Like, you know, I suspect that, but I don't know for sure that it's him, right? It could be somebody else. I don't know. It is a possibility, because Instagram doesn't give you IDs of people who are looking at your profile.
Thank God it doesn't.
Yeah. Unlike TikTok, which I have opted into. Um, but yeah, so anyway, that was a roundabout question on a tangent of me answering this question. But yeah,
Tangents, we love
as
them.
I'm autistic, I take tangents.
No, bring it on.
So yeah, that's how I decide whether I celebrate mourn or simply reflect is depending on what my relationship with the event or the person is at the time. Um, yeah.
Gotcha.
Next question. Actually, we do have a couple of viewers right now. You are welcome to observe and not interact. No pressure at all.
Or you can drop
But
it. That'd be great.
if you would like to interact with us, we do love audience participation. Feel free to drop your comments or questions in the
Please do.
chat for us as well. Look, one of them might be my dad and he's listening while he's driving his car or something. It's possible. All right.
Hello.
Next question. Has a date ever surprised you by triggering emotion you didn't expect, like joy, sadness, or even relief?
Mm,
I feel like it probably has, but it might be a while before I remember something specific.
I think for me, and this happened this year with my mother passing away last year. There was one thing I'm trying to do going forward. It's something small. I'm going to try and do a thing where every day on my mother's birthday, I just light a candle and leave it open for her. And like I did it this year, and I literally went through a whole day of emotion because it was a tall candle, and yeah, I mean, at first I had to acknowledge, what I was doing, and I felt very, very sad, and then I became very angry because with my mother's passing, basically, it it was it could have been prevented because just to tell everyone, like, so my mother normally went in for dialysis 3 times a week, and she got COVID twice from going to the hospital. One from one of the nurses, and one from the other nurses that came to our home to look after her. So
Wow.
we, yeah. So there was a lot of anger there as well. So when I let the candle be a bit of anger, a bit of resentment, a bit of what if scenarios, what if this could have been done or this could have been done. And then later on, as the day would go on, I think that anger and frustration would subside, and that's when the positive things would kick in. And I just remember my mother's humor, her guidance, and even though she wasn't a perfect person, she had a lot of flaws. Uh, she was my mom, and she did everything for me. She sacrificed everything for me, and as you say, she saved my life more times than I can count. And if she was here today, I think she'd be doing exactly that.
Mm.
So, but and then later on, I do get a little glimpse of happiness kind of seeping in because it makes me think my mom's up there with all her loved ones. With my dog Shadow, they're probably causing a storm up there, and I get that little sense of relief. And yeah, and then and it just goes to show that I was very, very, very blessed to have her in my life for as long as I did, because most people don't have that time with a parent.
Yeah. No, our
Yeah, so just
family makes, yeah. But like also so frustrating having like those nurses should not have been working.
yeah.
Fuck, man.
It became like a huge, just a huge sense of frustration. And I remember talking to my dad. Both my parents are medical doctors, medical professionals. And my mum was getting a dialysis where my dad has worked since the 90s or 80s. I think it was. He only just retired this year. And my mum worked there as well. And I remember talking to dad. This is after mum passed. I was just like, Dad, I don't mean to. start anything, but is there anything we can do? And he sat me down and he just went, listen, like, uh, this is the this is something that every hospital, every medical professional had to be prepared for. It's not their fault that
Mm,
someone got sick. That's just the nature of this beast. Uh, there's nothing we can do, and we shouldn't even think of it that way. And when he explained it to me, all that anger just it turned into frustration, and then thankfully it left.
mm,
Because yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't their fault. No one goes into work feeling sick or knowing they have COVID, what have you. And with the carer as well that came, I remember I was dropping her off one day to the train station. She would take the trains to and fro, and she was coughing a lot in the car next to me. And I remember joking, leaning over, and I was like, "Oh, you don't have COVID, do you?" And she's like, "No, no, it's just a cough. It's just a cough." It was COVID,
yeah.
and the fact was, it wasn't just mum who suffered for it and passed, but because of my illness, I also have uh, a broken immune system.
Mm,
And if I contracted, I would have been wiped out too. And it just became like this thing where not anger, but a kind of, it just was just like a frustrated sense of anger. I was just like, people, come on. Like, and one thing that came to mind is it doesn't, the only thing that astounds me is people have this incredible ability for good, for surpassing their limits, for kindness, but we almost have a similar limit of ability to not think and to kind of be stupid and ignorant. So there is that
mhm.
duality of our nature. So yeah,
I don't
it's
want to believe that I'm someone that's contracted COVID. Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. If especially if you're a healthcare professional, a lot of doctors. And mind you, this is when COVID was in full swing. So the all the theories, the conspiracy theories were out there, and every professional, medical professional I spoke to across the board, they were like, "Listen, listen to the science. You know, you want to believe your influences, blah 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 blah. That's fine. We listen to science.
Hmm.
A equals to B. There's no, and I was like, okay. And from my parents, this has been ingrained in me since I was a child. It's listen to the science. Science can't lie. It's you could frame it in a certain way, but at the end of the day, though,
Hmm.
x equals to x, y equals blah 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 blah, and it just goes to show that when the science is sciencing, the people aren't mathing. They aren't doing square.
Yeah.
So and it combines to uh, let's say knowingly doing something wrong to maybe kind of not putting as much stock into it as you should do. So I mean the reason why COVID became such a huge thing was because people didn't take it seriously, Shopee,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's a lot of things that could have been avoided, but um, yeah, so there was a lot of anger, the apathy of everything, but you just have to let it go.
Thank goodness.
There you
Sorry,
go.
my internet briefly cut out.
Welcome back. I thought
I
you were just going.
apologize.
No, you're fine. That'll be a good thumbnail.
Oh,
There you go.
that's going to be embarrassing. I am not going to revisit that part of the video.
It's all right. Your followers will.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, that part will get replayed. It'll have like the most replay in the analytics later. Like, what the fuck is this part got for you? Oh, I pulled a face. All right, you ready for my answer to this question? What
Let's hear
date has? Yeah, I wasn't sure if I could think of something, but I was triggered. I remember. So in the improv world, improvisational theater, there is a day called Say Day, and it is the 29th of July. Um, it's I don't think somebody's anniversary or birthday or something like that. But Say Day is a day where improvisers can like post on social media or whatever, highlighting things that they appreciate about other improvisers. And the reason why this this particular day surprised me by triggering an emotion in me that I didn't expect was because the day that I discovered that this was even a thing was because somebody had tagged me in a post writing about the amazing things that they saw in me, and I was just blown away because I'm the kind of person that does not expect to be tagged in posts like that. And I certainly am not regularly called out as, someone to highlight as an example of, amazing things. Not that I don't deserve it, but like I'm not like to the like level of notoriety as other people is what I mean. And yeah, so having that experience, and then not only this one person um, bringing that up, but also another person, I think that I had a very strong relationship with, but they never like publicly acknowledged how like what our friendship was, like in a like to the extent of what our friendship was, and to have them uh call me out in one of those posts as well, I'm just like, wow. I'm just like I feel really overwhelmed when people acknowledge because I don't know. I felt a lot of my life I've felt really invisible, I suppose, is what I'm trying to say there. And I really, really appreciate public acknowledgement of people appreciating me, especially when they're people that I look up to or hold like some weight in the community as well. I think that's one of the reasons why it's so hard for me to have like really private relationships, because I want my partner to be someone that like holds me up as an example of like, look how awesome my partner is, because that's what I like to do when I'm with somebody amazing, is I want to be able to highlight how awesome they are. So I want that kind of be a reciprocal kind of thing. Yeah, so even if it's in a different kind of context, having that kind of public acknowledgement is like really, really emotional. So Say Day, 29th of July, for improvisers. Good day.
There you go. There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
Acknowledgement goes like a super far away, and even though we're like, oh, I don't need it, fine. I mean, we're very very simple creatures if you know how to push our buttons, and this goes across the board. I mean, there's a reason why, anytime someone says something bad about you, you're like, or whatever. But if someone says something good, it's a normal thing to you. You feel, it's that you get
Puffed.
that
Oh,
warm, yeah, you get
yeah.
that
Warm, fuzzy feeling.
that you're
It's,
doing something right and someone else is
yeah.
acknowledging you for it. I mean, there's no better
Yeah.
feeling. I mean, even if you go, oh, like, and I still remember this to this day. I still remember this. I was in school, and I remember like I was getting ready, and my dad, I must have been like 12, 13 years old, and I was getting ready, and my dad went, oh, here, try out this new cologne I got, and he sprayed some on me. And mind you, I'm like 12, 13, so I don't normally put cologne on really. And I remember going to school and some of my female classmates looking at me, smiling, going, "Oh, you smell nice." And I went, I still remember that. I still remember that.
Yeah, I think these acknowledgements also especially matter during those times when they are unexpected, and you're like on a low period, like a lull in your life, or you're feeling not so great. Then out of the blue, somebody compliments you for whatever reason. It's like, oh, I exist to other people and they appreciate me. So yeah, it that can really perk you up in those moments, um, when it doesn't happen for everyone. Some people are so stuck in their self-loathing that they can't acknowledge those kinds of moments. Um, like I've tried to talk through to people of being like, dude, you are totally worthy. I see you as amazing, and I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. Not everyone is capable of that, but I generally do perk up when somebody acknowledges me in that kind of way, and it makes a difference, especially in those moments where I'm feeling particularly low.
I mean, yeah, I think you kind of have to. I think we all feel elated whenever we're feeling when we get that acknowledgement, especially when we don't expect it. Like for example, this morning, I was at the grocery store, very very busy, and one of the cashiers, this young lady, it was like I said, it was very packed, and you could tell that she was getting a bit tired. So I got all my, she scanned everything and paid and went, "You're doing a great job, keep it up." And she was just went like that, like she just was broken out of that. She was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "All right, see you later, have a good day." And one thing that springs to mind is when I was working for an engineering company, what's it called? He wasn't the CEO, but he was like the group head. And I remember one time I bumped into him. Like I was like, "All right, it's time for lunch," and I walked into his office, and I was like, "Lunch?" And he was like, "Lunch?" I was like, "Yeah, lunch." And he went, "Yeah." And he quickly like got his stuff, and he joined me out. And a few times after that, he would always make sure he and I went out for lunch. And I remember he told me something a week after that. We became quite friendly. He was like, "Thank you for asking me out for lunch the first time," because he'd been working there for years. And I was like, "Well, why?" And he's like, "Nobody asked me out for lunch." And mind you, this was like I was like the lowest of the low. You
Yeah,
know, I was like I was an intern, but the spot above that, and he was the group.
the job.
Yeah, like he wasn't the CEO, but he was the head of the departments kind of thing. And so he and I would jump into his Mercedes every time. He would just be like, for
Wow.
example, like it'd be like 12 o'clock, and I'd be in a group meeting, and then like we'd hear a knock on the door. He'd pop in, and he's like, "Jared, come with me. I'm going to steal him for a bit," and be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, go, go, go." And I come out, I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And he's like, "We're going for a drive." So we get into his Mercedes, go out for a couple of hours, and then come back, and everyone be like, "Oh, so how'd your meeting go with so and so?" I'm like, "Great." So yeah, and then he and I were talking, and it goes to show that and he would tell me, like, obviously when he's out and around with these people, especially with these big wigs, he has to put on this persona. But when he and I were just talking, hanging out, he's just like this really down to earth guy, very very chill. And it just goes
Yeah.
to show that whenever you see somebody, you show them a bit of empathy, a bit of kindness. Well, how's your day? Doing a good job? Fancy lunch? Why not?
I love that story. That's great.
And we're
It's
still
like
friends today, so yeah, pretty cool.
it does show, like, also that even those, people in senior roles don't necessarily get the acknowledgement that you might expect them to get because of them
So
being a higher level, right? And
like that's the thing,
yeah,
because they're higher level, people are often afraid to speak to them because, oh, like what if I say the wrong thing?
yeah,
I don't want to take up their time. And even at one point that became a thing with me. Like for example, when I was brought in as a consultant, sometimes these interns would be like, "Oh, hello sir, hello." I'm like, "Dude, bruh, don't call me sir, my name's Sharon, call me Sharon." And they're like, I start talking to them, and they'd be like, well, "Do you need a drink? Can I go get you lunch?" I'm like, "No, let's all go out for lunch." And it just has to be a thing where, even though I respect the grind, you're respecting people above you, which I told them, keep it up. That's great, but don't be afraid to just pop in and say hello. Like another thing I can think of was uh, back to that same company. Like my friend who was like the kind of group head. I spoke to the ultimate head guy, and I remember one day I just knocked on his door. His secretary was like, "Oh, is he expecting you?" I'm like, "Is he free?" And she's like, "I suppose so. Go in." And I just sat down, introduced myself, and I was like, "So, how's your day coming along?" And he was like, "Yeah, fine." And we just chatting, and then we just got to talking. And I remember he buzzed his secretary, and he went, "I've got an 11 o'clock, don't I?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Is it no?" No. He's like, "Can you push it till after lunch?" And she's like, "Yeah." And then he just got to talking, and then he was a really nice guy. He was an older gentleman. I think I want to say he's in his 60s or 70s. And whenever that day, whenever I remember like I'd be working and I feel like a tap on my shoulder. I turn around and it was him. And I remember everybody would kind of be surprised. They're like, "What the hell is he doing here? He never comes down here." And he's like, "Hey, what's up, brother?" I'm like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" That kind of thing. And this guy was like, a doctor, or no, he was a tantree. Sorry, he was a tantree. So he's a big, big dude. And everyone's like, how do you know him? And we just hang out and stuff. And he's like, "You guys homies?" I'm like, "Yeah." And it's something that which reminds me that not to say that you shouldn't acknowledge your seniors, you should, but a lot of people tend to understand this isn't just a Malaysian thing. I think this is a corporate global thing where people who are in relatively high positions or higher than you kind of feel like they can't mix because people can't relate to them. But that's something I found that a lot of them are missing. Sorry, I know that was a bit of a long.
I feel like I'm receiving an inspirational talk in a way. Like, oh yeah, like I don't always. I'm not really the kind of person that does approach people in those more senior roles and stuff either myself, because I'm daunted by it. And the only comparison I have is when I haven't known that I'm talking to someone who is of some esteem that
Yeah.
other people respect because they're not a named person to me. And the specific example that I have is that in the improv scene here, there's an improviser who a lot of Americans knew who he was. And in fact, I didn't know this at the time, but he was one of the writers on one of my favorite sitcoms in the 90s, which was Third Rock from the Sun. I'm pretty sure that was
No
one.
way.
But he also
That's
was one
so
of the
cool.
writers for, I think, the Spaceballs animated TV series. Was that a thing?
Is that?
So he got to work with Mel Brooks,
Oh,
and I had no idea about any of this stuff prior to my meeting him. And so when I met him, he was like super down to earth, and he even offered me a ride home to Oakland because he also lived in Oakland, and like we were at a bar chatting in San Francisco at the time. And it wasn't until like months later, maybe even a year later, that uh, somebody new joined the improv group that I was part of at the time, and like he was fawning over this guy because like he knew like who he was and stuff, and I was like, wow, I had no idea that this guy was like of so notoriety.
that's hilarious. I mean, like, are you still friends with him today?
Um, well, I mean, I like chat with. I think he relocated. I don't think he's living in San Francisco anymore. But like, if I was to run into him, he would know who I was. Like, that's the kind of relationship that we had. Because he was also like he was in an improv duo with one of my improv mentors and stuff as well. And yeah, he's just an all round really down to earth guy that I'm glad that I didn't know anything about him beforehand,
Mhm.
because maybe I would have felt daunted by that stuff as well. Because I mean, that's some pretty cool shit that he's done in his life.
Yeah.
Even if I haven't seen most of the stuff that he's worked on, it's still like that's pretty cool. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's important to talk to higher ups because like it's to kind of get away that stigma that we can't, we're not all part of the same tribe. One thing, it's even muscle memory. Like I remember when I was working at Astro, I just turned 18, and I was such an idiot.
We
I
all are
was
at 18. Come
Yeah,
on.
and I remember we were having a channel meeting. Why did I do this? And I remember like one channel head, he was one of the big wigs. I didn't really speak to him that much, but we all knew who he was. Came in, and I just I remember he was just like, "I'm sorry, guys. Like like it's I just haven't been feeling great recently." And I was like, "Oh," and I remember I was writing something. I didn't even look up. I just went, "Maybe you just need to get laid, bro." And I just said it like
You
that.
didn't know who it was?
I didn't know who it was. Everybody burst out laughing. Everyone was in tears, and I just went, "Hey, man, if it helps, it helps." And I remember he looked at me, and he was just like, "Raw!" And he just burst out laughing.
That is hilarious.
Yeah,
No one else at that in that room would have said what you
yeah.
said.
But maybe kids
Nobody
get
else.
later. So
Maybe that's where you started on that. Like, you know what? It's fine. They're all just human like me, and I'm sure that they will laugh at the same stuff that I
yeah,
laugh at. Probably comes back to your mum laughing at fart jokes.
there
That's
you
what it
go.
is. Like, you know, like
It's a
even
vicious circle.
in that authoritative position, they all still laugh at the same dumb fart jokes.
We're all the same. If you prick me, do I not bleed? There
That's
you go.
right. That's right. All right. Okay, so my dad is one of our viewers, so he's
Right.
left some comments for us here. So I'll go through them. So he just says, mostly listening, getting ready to go to a meeting. So that's why he
Woohoo.
wasn't chatting with us before. But he does have a couple of other comments for us here. So this next one is enjoying the thoughts though. My being number dyslexic, so dates are problematic. Memories more connected to atmosphere, season, night, day, feelings, smells, stress, joy, and connected. You know, this is an interesting thing to me. The smell sensory experience. I don't think I have ever had a scent strongly remind me of any memory. It's never been a trigger for me. When I do reflect on memories, smell is never part of it. And I've always wondered why, because it seems like it's a strong factor for so many other people with triggering memories. It is what's been your experience with smell?
Smells. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing. Like, I remember reading somewhere that smells kind of they activate the kind of reptile part of our brains, don't we? Like, whether we can't help but think something. Obviously, let's say when we see something, we touch something, we taste something, we can interpret something another, but smells go straight to that reptile thing. And I remember just like every once in a while you'll smell something and for good or for bad, and like it'll trigger back to a memory. Like I remember like just smelling something. It links back to something in my childhood or what have you, and it's amazing. It's amazing how powerful our senses are
This
in
is
ways
why
that
it surprises me that I have never had this experience, because I hear about those experiences from other people and I'm like, scent has never uh, been a sense that has had that kind of impact on me. It's just never part of my memory of things. The only impact that scent has on me um, is when it's very strong. It doesn't trigger a memory, but like if it's overwhelming, then I go into sensory overload. Especially if it's the smell of vomit, in which case it makes me want to vomit.
yummy.
um yeah, gross. But other than that, like maybe it's, I don't know, maybe this is a side effect of motherhood, because when you're changing dirty diapers and things, that's not a scent that you want to remember, because it might make you not want to have another child. Right? So maybe it's like a defense mechanism in my body that my body doesn't allow me to have sense trigger memories like that because of motherhood.
Yeah. Like speaking of motherhood, I mean, not to say that obviously doesn't apply to me per se, but when like I have an apartment up in the mountains, my mother and I would go up to, and I say I have an apartment, my family has one, and one particular memory comes to mind, especially when we're using smells. Just below our apartment, there's an area called Gotong Jaya, and that's where a lot of different restaurants and what have you. And I remember one particular day when it up in Malaysia, it's quite cooling because it's high up in the mountains, and there's a lot of mist. And I remember it was still raining. We'd driven in, and we have like this all these different Chinese food vendors were around us, and we sat down and ordered our food. And I just remember, like, I mean, I can still picture it now, like having the hot food just kind of go up, and you're surrounded by this cold mist, and it's lovely. It's just thank you for bringing that memory
See,
back up. So that was
this is why I kind of wish that I could have those experiences because they sound amazing. Like,
well, yeah,
why can't I have scent triggered memories? It's
I'm
not
sure you
fair.
do. I mean, I'm sure you do. Like in some
No,
ways,
I've never have. I never have. But, like, I'm sure I would remember something like that because I pined over wishing that I could have had those kinds of experiences.
well, you still could. There's plenty of time. I mean, you never know. Like I said,
Maybe,
like
maybe.
that was a very, very unique set of circumstances. I'm sure if I had that, and if we went back to the apartment, I wouldn't have had that same feeling. But just in those particular kind of circumstances, everything
Yeah.
linked and clicked. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
Well, my dad does have a reply to this, so I'll bring that comment up before
Mm.
his other one. He says smells might be brain wiring. Autistics have different wiring, which is true. Like, it is possible that because of my autistic brain wiring, that's the reason that scent does not have the same impact as it seems to have for other people. All right, my dad's other comment, he says, yesterday I got a connection with mind connects experiences in one's body and is a pathway back to blocked memories. Our body stores our history just by noticing my body. Yeah, that
Yeah,
can happen sometimes. I've definitely had blocked memories come back to me, triggered by things that people have said. Um, I remember one of the most significant ones was when so I had it was kind of part of a I had this one female friend here in San Francisco who introduced me to some of her friends. So we were on a group text chat, and because we had like events that we hung out together sometimes, and one of them had suggested that everyone could come over to her place to get naked in her hot tub, and that I was triggered reading that and feeling really uncomfortable and not I'm sorry guys, like I can't, and I don't think I explained to them why, but what was going on with me is that it triggered a memory of some time that I had spent with my ex-husband where he had taken me to adult clubs where I was expected to get naked in those kinds of areas, and I went along with it because I thought, that's what you're supposed to do when you're supportive in your husband and that sort of thing. But I was clearly very uncomfortable, and so the fact that memory, like, and I completely, obviously, blocked that from my memory until this occasion reminded me. It's like, oh fuck, and in that moment, I hated that my ex-husband ruined that like idea of that for me, because I think that could have been a very freeing experience if I had been open to it, if I hadn't gone through um that experience with him. um but yeah, I don't know, I've never I've never really had those kinds of experiences just with a group of women, as common as it seems to be in
I mean,
American movies.
isn't that the girls always
Happens
being
like all
having
the time.
all the time, right?
Like, women are just getting naked and like showering in dressing rooms and stuff all the time in American movies, right? Like, that's just what they do. Never
I
had
mean,
that
yeah, I mean, like the sun goes up in the morning, it goes down at night, and women do that. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that right, exactly. That's just what happens. We just walk around nude in front of each other because we're just that comfortable.
mhm. Don't ruin this for me, okay?
Oh man, where are my male fans right now?
Yeah.
I'm big fantasizing about me doing that. All right, well, I think we're ready for our next question. Next question. This is what we're up to. Which date holds meaning for you that others might not understand, and how do you carry it?
Um, there is a date I can't remember off the top of my head. I have it saved on my mobile. The date that I first felt ill, because it's something that I keep as a memory, because by all means, I don't think I should have survived that day. Basically, what happened was I just remember I was watching TV and I collapsed because I was just nothing would move and what have you. And if I didn't have the strength to call for help, I don't think that I would have survived, because later on when I was in the hospital, it became so bad where all I could do was this. I couldn't even feed myself. I couldn't even turn my head properly, that kind of thing. So the fact was, I was able to crawl up the stairs, grab my phone,
Yeah.
ring, fall back down the stairs, and open the front door. Um, yeah, I mean, so it just goes to show that, like maybe, and I've been given a second chance, and everything has its reasons, and from what I've heard, based on situations like that, I shouldn't even be here. So it's definitely something that I think, like, I always think to myself, uh, no matter how bad things get, you're still here. It could have been 20, 100 times worse. And just because this happened to you, someone else definitely has had it 20 to 100 times worse. So in some days, whenever I look at that date, I don't think of it as a day that changed my life and in a negative way. I look back at it and I say, "This is the day that I was given a second chance to live."
Mm. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I can see why others may not understand it in the same way,
No,
because
it's
it's
okay.
like, why would you why would you like, yeah. I have a couple of dates that I could think of for this. Um, One of them I'll say September 19th, which you may or may not know is International Talk Like a Pirate Day. It's coming up next week.
Put that into my calendar.
Next week, International Talk Like a Pirate. Maybe we should do. Am I busy that day? Maybe we should do the live stream of pirates for
That'd be fun.
International Talk. Like,
That'd
we'll
be
see.
fun.
We'll see. I need to check the dates. I don't think I have plans on that day, but I may
As long as I can
make
change my
plans.
name to Captain Smee, it should be good.
Yes, yes.
Smee.
You overtook Captain Hook.
Yeah, I'm Captain Smee
You
now.
fed him to the
Crocs.
crocodile. Yeah.
Captain Smee.
Um, so, uh, why does this date hold significance for me? Why might people not understand? International Talk Like a Pirate Day is the date that I chose to publish my first book, my
Woo!
first novel, which is, of course, a pirate time traveling book. So that was why I
Oh,
chose to publish it on International Talk Like a Pirate Day. I
that's
even
good
have
marketing. Very good marketing.
acknowledgement to International Talk Like a Pirate Day in the book, because my main character travels forward into the future from her time period, and the future being 2011 at the time, because that's when I was writing it.
Very
So
nice.
International Talk Like a Pirate Day 2011 is acknowledged. Yes, that's one of them, for probably obvious reasons now, because it's such an accomplishment to be able to publish a book. Like, not only finish writing one, but editing it, going through all of the process of taking it to publication. Um, significant accomplishment, and I still, as much as I managed to finish a 2-book memoir earlier this year, um, have not got around to the whole editing process to get it to
Well,
publication yet.
that's the thing.
Get
A
get
lot
there.
of people, and I can understand this. A lot of people think that publication is you finish a manuscript, you give it to a publication house, and you're done. They take care of everything else, and that's it. But it's a huge process, especially if
Oh
you
yeah,
want to get into self publication nowadays. I mean,
yes,
the
especially
good
if
thing,
you're self-publishing, is a lot
yeah,
more.
and the good thing is we have a lot of avenues now which allow you to do that. But if you're a one person show, it's a hassle, and a lot of people don't understand that. And the fact that you have done it and you intend to keep doing it, that's an incredible accomplishment. So
Yeah.
good on you. Yeah.
Hopefully, next year maybe I'll get to it. I'm kind of waiting it out at the moment because of choosing to move back to Malaysia, and maybe I'll write something different in my about the author, or maybe even potentially something different in the epilogues. So like, then I ended up moving back to Malaysia anyway. It was like whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Surprise! Woo, come back. Um, there's probably going to be a third book to follow onto it when I say I'm actually back there, and see what happens. Maybe not. We'll see. But yeah. Anyway, so that's why I'm kind of putting it off at the moment. Anyway, the other date that I was thinking of for this is April 17th, and this is a kind of a weird one. Um, the reason I remember this date, and I remember it like back to front, like there's two different things for this day that I am able to remember because they both were happened on the same day. So one of them is my Australian best friend's birthday. It's her birthday on the 17th of April. But not only that, it is also the date that I had my first kiss. So it's so weird that like it's on the same day as that, and
That's
like
so
that's the thing
That's
that
nice. That's really nice.
just like my Malaysian ex's birthday is the same day we first slept together. Something about birthdays and like anyway, my Australian best friend's birthday, complete coincidence that my first kiss happened on the same day because we weren't even friends yet when that happened. So it's really funny that that kind of became how I remembered both events. It's like, when was the date of my first kiss? Oh, that's right, my best friend's birthday. When it was my best friend's birthday again? Oh yeah, that's right, the same day that I
There's
had my first kiss.
good. So, I mean, that way you'll never forget either. So that's great.
Exactly. So yeah, that's kind of a weird one, I think, but also funny. I think it's funny. Yeah. All right. My dad has another comment for us
What have
here.
you got, Frank?
He says, I have memories of swimming nude for swimming lessons as a Cub Scout. Not positive because parents often in the bleachers watching. Oh, how embarrassing.
I'm guessing this wasn't when you were in your late teens, early 20s, maybe.
Well,
But
Cub Scout is
Cub Scout,
probably
yeah. Okay,
childhood,
yeah, I'm
right?
joking.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, but still, like, even so, I can't even imagine. Like, that, there's no way that would happen today.
And also, why would they ask you to swim nude? Presumably, you'd be in your trunks and what have you, unless they were trying to say hypothetically in a what if scenario. I don't know, but that's a
Mm.
bit strange.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems very, yeah. Huh.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised you didn't have positive memories of such things.
yeah. Like just to go back to that, like not to say swimming nude is something that I did, but I remember when I was in school, uh, we had a swimming pool installed, and for PE, swimming got incorporated into the syllabus. And I remember when we would go to swimming pool, especially for me anyway, I mean, I'm extremely obese now, but back then I was like maybe 5 foot tall and about 10 foot wide. and the idea of like everyone else was in. I mean, we were kids, so it didn't really matter. But the fact was you had to be like come out wearing your little speedos, and it was like, and so you have that kind of fear. So the fact
Mhm.
that maybe your dad had to do that nude, I mean, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
All right. Last question. One more question. We can always continue chatting about this topic after we're through the questions if we feel like it. Otherwise, we'll see. But how have the feelings around a significant date shifted for you over time? I'll give you some time to think about it. I have an answer
Please,
for
please.
this, and I was just thinking about this before I even read the question, so it's kind of funny that it's related. So my engagement anniversary, the day that I got engaged to my ex-husband, was America's Independence Day, July 4th. Funnily enough, makes it easy to remember the date. But so I remember at the time being like, yeah, rather than Independence Day, it's my codependence day.
Sure.
And obviously, my feelings around that date have shifted over time because we're not together anymore. So now that date is like, it's just America's Independence Day because I'm living in the United States, and I'm sure once I'm not living in the US anymore, the date is probably just going to pass me by. I can't just let it pass me by in America because people shoot off illegal fireworks on that day in my street, um, and all around Oakland, but especially in my street. So there's no way to ignore that date, and I guess that's kind of what it's become. This year, I decided to celebrate with a friend of mine who is from India. He's here on a work visa.
Thank you for
Um,
specifying that. Yeah.
yes, I
Anybody else
please,
watching, he's here
please, I
legally.
do not go after him. I could not bear it. Um, and we just decided to celebrate it by sharing each other's non-American cultures with each other.
Yeah. Okay.
So I showed him a great classic Australian film called The Castle, and then we went out for South Indian food for
Nice.
dinner afterwards, and
Nice.
yeah, so it was
That's
very, very good. Yeah, yeah. So obviously, yeah, my feelings around that particular date has varied considerably. I also I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I really have any strong feelings towards Valentine's Day these days because I
Mm.
haven't had anyone to celebrate it with for the last what 6 years now, I guess, including this year. So since 2020, I haven't celebrated it, but it was a significant date to my ex-husband and me when we're together, because we had the tradition of always going out to an Indian restaurant
Oh,
for Valentine's Day. That was the way that we celebrated Valentine's, and it was just like coincidence that became tradition. So like our first
that's nice.
Valentine's Day together, we went to an Indian restaurant. This next Valentine's Day, we went to an Indian restaurant without remembering that the previous Valentine's we did the same thing. But then once we realized, we're like, let's turn this into a tradition. We will
Perfect.
always go to an Indian restaurant for
Nice.
Valentine's Day. And yeah, and so we just kept that every single year. It was always an Indian restaurant, no matter where we were in the world. When we first moved to California, he decided he wanted to take me to Monterey Bay for like Valentine's Day weekend. And even with that, he took me to an Indian restaurant
Nice.
for our meal for Valentine's. And I think there was only one Valentine's Day that we skipped. And it was because he had to travel for work. But then when he came back, we had a belated Valentine's Day celebration at an Indian restaurant for dinner.
Nice.
So that was like, yeah, and I've not acknowledged Valentine's Day in that way ever since. In fact, I think the last couple of years, I have actively tried to avoid Valentine's because for my Malaysian ex reasons. So last year it was because it was roughly a little more than a month after I came back from Malaysia when he and I uh, had a misunderstanding and we stopped communicating with each other, or he stopped replying to my messages. And I uh, I was trying to figure out how to like get back into communication with him again, but I didn't want to, contact him too close to Valentine's Day because I didn't want him to think that I was being influenced by Valentine's Day. And similar thing happened this year. Like, I think this is like late January, early February this year, I was working on drafting another message to him. And again, I'm like, I don't want to send this message too close to Valentine's Day. I don't want to send this message too close to Chinese New Year. And so like I'm very conscious of these dates, right? Of his Chinese New Year because he celebrates because he's Chinese. So yeah, a lot of very like like I have to be very careful with dates because I don't want to interrupt this and I don't want to be thought like too much overworking in my brain to like just like to say what I'm thinking or say what's on my mind or whatever I want to share. But like that's what I do, right? I overthink things.
You're an overthinker. Yeah.
Stuff. I'm an overthinker. Like, I don't want someone to get the wrong impression. So if I do this, what they might get the wrong impression by this other thing.
You're doomed if you do. You're doomed if you don't.
Yeah.
Have there been any particular dates that maybe spark up some old memories for you?
Any dates that spark up old memories?
Not including your birthday. Birthdays.
Not including my birthday?
Not including birthdays.
Because my birthday would be the one that sparks the most. I do have a lot of strong memories.
All right, go for that.
On my birthday.
Yeah, let's go with the birthday.
And I'll tell you why. Because for a great many years in a row, I celebrated my birthday in a different country every year. Again, like the Valentine's Day thing, it started out as an accident and then just kind of progressed. So first year was
Australia.
So 2006 was Australia. 2007 we happened to be in the United States for my birthday. 2008, I'd already moved to Malaysia by my birthday that year. So, or just by accident, 3 different countries, 3 years in a row. So after that, then I'm like, okay, what country should we go to for my birthday next?
What's next? That's dope, international like jet setter. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I think the next one might have been Vietnam. Was it Vietnam? 2010?
That's very cool.
No. 2010 was actually Hong Kong.
Oh, wow.
Because I wanted to see Robin Williams in Hawaii. As like my birthday present that year. And then so we decided, because there were no direct routes to Hawaii, we decided to fly by Air Asia to Macau. And then we took the ferry to Hong Kong, stayed in Hong Kong for a night, then flew to Hawaii. then flew back to Hong Kong. And we actually flew back from Hong Kong to Malaysia on my birthday, but like that was like my birthday trip. Then the following year would have been Vietnam, Ho Chi Minh City, which was a mixed bag. For the most part, it was like a really amazing trip. The mixed bag part is my ex husband brought his then Filipino girlfriend along on the trip with us and held her hand in front of me on my birthday trip, in front of our daughter and stuff. Yeah, I guess my son was also there because it was 2011. Yeah. So that was a whole thing. Then the following year, I don't. What was the exact order? I know Bali was one year and Thailand was another year. We went to Ayutthaya and Pattaya for my birthday, and that was another one where my ex-husband brought along his Thai girlfriend who was living in Bangkok at the time, and she like was our driver on the tour and stuff. But still, like weird. It's like it's my birthday trip, and you're bringing your girlfriend. Like that's
Yeah.
awkward. And that was also like my first time meeting her as well. So it's like this is weird, weird. Um, yeah. So is that all? That might be all. Because it was at 11, 12, 13. Wait. Weird. That's weird. What's my memory? Okay. No. Okay. So no. Vietnam was 2009.
Right.
2000. Yeah, I missed 2009. That's why I was confused. Okay, and then 2014, I stayed in Malaysia again. So that was broke the streak. So I stayed in Malaysia, and I chose to stay in Malaysia that year because it was my 30th birthday, and I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to have a big celebration for my decade. Because you're supposed to have big celebrations for your decade birthdays.
Yeah.
And 3 people came.
Three people's better than
Three people came.
zero.
Yeah, but it kind of sucked because no, I mean I don't want to. It was not a sucky birthday. I was very grateful for the people that did come. I very much appreciated it. One of them was the Malaysian that I ended up having a situationship with. Like, so we'd only just like started our friendship around that time. So I was very, very grateful. But it sucked because I was like, I really hoped at that time that I'd developed a little bit more of a connection with people, that more people would have wanted to come celebrate my birthday with me, especially because like I had a Thanksgiving themed birthday that year, because my birthday was the day after Thanksgiving. So I celebrated it on Thanksgiving by having a Thanksgiving feast for my guests. That's how close my birthday is to Thanksgiving. Thank you very much.
Double whammy.
Yeah, I know. So that's one of the reasons why it's kind of harder to celebrate, especially in the United States, because it's nobody's around for Thanksgiving, so it's like it's hard to get people together for it. And I have had smaller gatherings and stuff for my birthday here, but it's anyway.
It's interesting actually because I remember on my birthdays, like when I was very very young, we always insisted on having big parties. Like all your friends in school would come, and everything, and that became a huge thing. To when I was an adult, 18 plus, we'd either have throw a massive house party, or we'd go out and it would be like a theme night. We'd set up on Facebook, Sharon's birthday, come by, we do all that, and that was amazing. It was great. But looking back on it now that I'm in my 30s, soon to be my 40s, like the idea of a birthday for me is just chill and mellow, and you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can just do your thing. And
Mm.
that for me, just chef's kiss.
Look, my 40th birthday was a good range of different things, but it started off, so this was when my my Malaysian ex and I were together during the it was in the midst of that 4 months that we'd gotten back together. And so genuinely waking up and having a video call with him that morning on my 40th birthday was just like chef's kiss, like the best thing. Like I felt so appreciated and uh loved, I guess. It's like it's weird for me to say that because he never said I love you, but I did feel loved by him. um and he'd gone to the effort of making sure that the date was in his calendar, like even when he joked about us not remembering the date or whatever, but like he had set that aside to make sure that he called me on that day. And I was able to I ignore messages. Like my ex-husband sent me a cranky message that morning while I was on the call with him, which I'm thankfully didn't have to, I didn't look at until after the call. And then I think in the evening I went to see the Lion King musical because
Nice.
that would happen to be in town at the time. And one of my local friends joined me for that, although we weren't sitting together. So it was much more of the quiet, like it was not how I intended to do my 40th, but I think like I'd originally been thinking about going to Malaysia for my 40th, but I'd uh, decided to go earlier than that. So I'm like, well, I don't need a big celebration for my actual 40th because I already did this big trip before that. So yeah, so that's kind of where things went with that.
I don't know. It's weird because I think when we're younger, we think of birthdays as this big do thing and what have you, and um, it's strange because obviously when you're younger, you have a bigger social network, but not as strong as it becomes when you're older. When you're older, obviously, it gets smaller but stronger. And nowadays, I think and I mean, not just me. It seems like with a lot of people, birthdays are a day of like self introspection, self retrospection. Is that, yeah? And
Mm.
yeah, and it seems to be like a reflection of the year past and who you are in that past year. And I think that birthdays are great. However you want to celebrate them, have at it, as long as you're
Mhm.
happy.
Mm. I think another significant date that has shifted over time. I'm curious what your thoughts on this are as well. Western New Year, since I mentioned Chinese New Year earlier. 31st of December to the 1st of January. Um, I think when I was younger, it used to be more exciting. Like, oh, we're going to the new year, and like now as an adult, I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I might be awake when it's midnight. I might not. Do I care about counting down the time? The only uh, time that New Year's Eve has been significant to me in the last 10 plus years, I would say, was when I was back together with my Malaysian ex, because I flew into Malaysia on New Year's Eve. So we
Oh wow.
reconnected on New Year's Eve. Like, and I did that specifically because I wanted to spend New Year's with him. I wanted New Year's to be significant because I otherwise generally didn't give a shit about New Year's. And I wanted to be able to celebrate New Year's in some way. And so yeah, that's why I chose to go down at that particular time. Like I could have, waited a day. I think it would have been a little bit cheaper if I'd arrived in January instead. I'm like,
Sure. Yeah.
no, I will pay extra because I want to celebrate this particular day. And like after 4 months of only having like online video calls, right? Um, to be able to be physically present in person.
Mm.
Um, yeah, it was a nice day.
That's
It was
good.
a nice day, a nice evening. And then, weirdly enough, something that made it feel even more significant was a few days later when he introduced me to a friend of his who asked him, "Hey, what did you do for New Year's?" And he said, "I spent it with her." And I was like, "You're acknowledging that you spent New Year's with me?" Because like I'd always felt like it's such a big secret him spending time with me.
Right.
So yeah, it was. I know it's weird. Is that weird? I don't know.
No, no, it's
I've been through some experiences. So yeah, I guess that's like even though he and I aren't together anymore, and he's chosen that he to not be in communication with me, that is still a very significant relationship for me, and I'd like to still acknowledge the significance at times because of the impact that it had on me. So regardless of how things turned out, or the pain that I experienced as a result because of the heartbreak and stuff, I'm not in that headspace anymore, and so it's easier to reflect now and just be like, that was a good experience, or this is what I learned from it, or so I think that's why I have the number of dates that are connected to him with that.
I hear you.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you answer this question yet?
Yeah,
Or no,
yeah, I did, didn't I?
I think I started it.
All right, no, okay. Well, I don't know. I think for me, a significant date. Goodness gracious me. Um, yeah, I suppose. I mean, aside from, let's say, birthdays or your conventional big holidays, since we're on the top, well, since we're on the this particular date, let's just say, it as time has gone on, I remember it became the first few years from what I remember, it was a very, very aggressive call to arms. Where it's like we can't let this happen again. If this happened to us, it'll happen to you. Rah, rah. And it was something that was connected by
Mm.
fear of the unknown, fear of the enemy, and it was something that, like, yeah, if this could happen to the greatest superpower on earth, why wouldn't this happen to you?
You're talking about 9/11?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, and the idea that no one was safe. And for me personally, because I was really affected by it, because I should have mentioned this earlier. At the time, my mother was. We were in London. My mother was stuck uh, in the underground, in the subway.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was terrified because I couldn't get a hold of her. And I remember just going out and just trying to figure out what was going on. And as time has gone by, obviously we acknowledge what have you. And I remember at some point, maybe a few years after that, uh, I mean, to be fair, it was still quite bad in the beginning, but the kind of feelings other people had around that date, a lot of anger towards the unknown, the enemy, and what have you. And it didn't, for me, it didn't turn into something more self-reflective and something that was meant to bring us together until much, much later.
Mm.
So I like to think that, obviously with time, people become a lot more introspective and not so much in lashing out, trying to find a scapegoat or what have you. So hopefully, I like to think that as the years go by, people will say, okay, this was a tragedy, not just to the United States, but to the world. And this is something that, can't happen again. But to do that, we have to be more accepting of it, because put it this way, if uh, that didn't just happen out of the blue,
Mm.
like, let's be honest, that was provoked.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way to just be better people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Mm.
I think is what's interesting to me about that particular event now. I don't have any strong connection to um, I mean, I do remember my show that I was watching at the time being interrupted
Yeah,
by that
yeah.
on
So is
TV
mine. Yeah,
news, right?
yeah.
But I didn't have any connection with New York. I'd never been there at that point, and that sort of thing. So for me, I guess the impact that it's had on me long term is watching movies that are set in New York pre 9/11 2001 and seeing the Twin Towers in the skyline because obviously they were there in the 90s. So any movie that you see in the 90s set in New York, you can still see the towers,
Yeah.
and it's like,
It's very
oh
eerie, isn't
wow,
it?
it's like
Yeah.
it is, right? Because
Mhm.
it, like, they're obviously no longer part of the skyline, and I don't think I would have known what those towers were had it not been for that event. Because it's not like they were like the most famous structures in New York. They weren't like the Empire State Building, they weren't the Chrysler Building, they weren't the Statue of Liberty,
Mhm.
which to me are the most recognizable buildings in
Iconic.
the most iconic buildings in the New York skyline. So yeah, uh, I'd say that's probably the impact that it's had on me long term because of the lack of context or personal connection to the event itself. Um, but yeah, and movies have always been my kind of thing. So it's like, if worldwide events impact me, it's like, and how does this impact my viewing of this particular film?
Gotcha. Actually, that's really interesting. You brought that up, the medium of film. I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know about, let's say, a certain date in particular, but I think whenever you watch something, whether it's a film, a painting, whatever media it is, I mean, it definitely changes over your mind as you grow older. I mean, I remember watching, uh, yeah, like watching something just when I was younger, and just being like, "Blah," or I didn't understand it, or it
Yeah.
traumatized me. And much, much, much later, I would either watch it again or it would come back to me in a memory, and I'd just be like, "Huh, didn't think about it that way."
Dude,
Interesting.
I've been trying to remember what the there's when I must have been, I think this is when my parents were still together, and this is like the only memory that I like legitimately have that's not connected to a photograph of the time when my parents were together.
Hmm.
Um, Maybe my dad will be able to answer when he's not watching now because he headed to his meeting, but he'll probably watch after the fact. So, Dad, please let me know in the comments if you know the answer to this. But genuinely, I'm pretty sure it was while my parents were both together still in my family home. I should have been asleep, but I walked into the living room and there was a horror movie on the screen. And all I can remember is it being like a cemetery kind of thing, I think, and me getting freaked out by it. And I recently was like, I wonder if it was Pet Cemetery.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. So when I saw Pet Cemetery on the shelf in the library, I was like, "Oh, I'll check this out." And then I just recently watched it. I'm like, "This is the wrong Pet Cemetery movie. This was a when was it remade? I didn't know it was a remake. I didn't know they remade them." So I'm like, "Oh fuck! Now I have to watch the original." So I still haven't seen the original version. But now I'm like, I got to. So my plan is to watch the original Pet Cemetery.
Mm.
I do have it checked out from the library now. I just have to make time for it,
Cool.
and we'll see. We'll see if my memory of that one flash of of a horror movie from when I was like 7 or 8, if I see it in the film or if it was something else. Dad, please let me know in the comments if you have any idea what I could be talking about, because I don't even remember if my parents saw me. I think I was like, I don't even know if it was both of my parents or just one of them were watching. But I think I was like snuck up from behind the couch and like I knew I wasn't supposed to be there. I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. That's that's another kind of powerful memory. Is that the first time you're watching the film, you know you're not supposed to.
Yeah.
I mean, those always, and that's the thing. I don't remember like specific films. I just remember just being ooh, ooh.
Well, I'm not supposed to do
Yeah.
this. Oh yeah,
Either
there was
either it's
definitely
something
stuff that
you
I
watch it or
watched.
you just sneak up and watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, there were definitely things that I chose to watch when my mum wasn't around because I knew that she wouldn't approve of it. I know she didn't want us watching like South Park. Um, uh, Beavis and Butthead Do America was one that I watched without her permission. My dad bought me a ticket to see it at the movies because he didn't know that I wasn't allowed to. and then I showed it to my brother in the United States like later the year in like later in the year or whatever, or the following year.
Mm-hmm.
And then my mum walked in and she freaked out. I'm like, but I've already seen it. And I used to watch Queer as Folk, the UK
Oh yeah, I remember
series.
that. Yeah, I remember that.
I would tape it on my the VCR at late at night when it was on because I was a school night or whatever, and then I'd watch it uh, before like when I got home from school like the next day and before anyone else was in the house. Like that's how I got away with doing stuff like that because we just had the one family TV right in the house, one VCR. It's not like I had somewhere private that I could go to watch stuff like that. So it was lucky that I in those days had a lot of time on my own when I got home from school that my siblings weren't there and my parents went around. It was just me.
That's nice. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think that really happens these days. Like kids are much more protected, I feel like.
I mean, they're much more protected, and I think there's a reason for it because obviously everyone's got a screen, everyone's got access to, the world, and kids nowadays. I mean, in my experience as a teacher, is kids are so tech savvy; they have access to everything, and obviously, I am not a parent.
Dude, I have a friend who is a teacher, and he told me just the other day that he caught a kid watching porn on his laptop in the classroom, and the kid was like so shocked and surprised that he was caught, even though it was like full screen on his laptop, like anyone could just like walk past and see.
Like, bro, come on.
But then like the other students were like so glad and relieved that he was finally caught because apparently this sort of thing happens a lot. I'm like, what the fuck? What? How could anyone think that that's okay in a classroom? Like, what is up with these students these
It's
days?
crazy because like that's the thing. I remember when I was in school. I think I must have been around 13. I don't know if I'm sure you probably have heard of it, but have you ever seen The Crow starring Brandon Lee?
I actually haven't, but it's on my list of things that I should watch soon because I've never seen it, because I know it's a classic. I
Yeah,
know, like, yeah, and he died while filming it, right? Like, that's
yeah.
yeah.
And like I remember, like, what was it? We were in school, and I was talking to my IT teacher, Mr. Lone. I still remember him. Really cool guy. And I remember we were talking about. I mentioned The Crow, and he looked at me and he's like, "When did you watch The Crow?" And I was like, "I don't know, like maybe a few months ago." And he's like, "Dude, you're like 13. You should not be
You're
watching
too
it."
young to
But
watch
I
that.
remember
It's
talking to him
rated
about
R, right? Isn't it?
yeah,
It's
it's
rated
rated R.
R,
I
yeah.
remember talking to him about it, and we actually had a good discussion about it. And he was like, "Okay, so did you enjoy it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love the story, I love the action, but I love the, I think it helped shape me as a writer." And I remember he was just like, he looked at me and he was like, "Okay, well, if you liked that, maybe you'll like this and this and this."
Wow.
I mean, like nothing bad, but some good ways to kind of put me out. And he's like, "Yeah, Brandon Lee is great, and all this." And that's the thing. I can't imagine nowadays like people watching stuff like that at my age. But it's strange though, because I remember like watching a whole bunch of rated R films as a teen or even a preteen, and I remember saying, "Oh, it'll mess you up," blah. But it turned me into who I am today, and thankfully,
You're a very well put together person.
thankfully,
So
I'm psychopathic. Like I remember like watching some films when I was younger, and I was going, "Whoa, I don't think I like that." That was a bit disturbing, but I turned out okay. Not to say that I'm the barometer of how everyone is. I know we're all different, But my parents were of the mindset that, like, listen, you watch whatever you want to watch, but you make your own decisions. And I
Mm.
turned out okay. And yeah.
I think I was 17 when I watched Fight Club, which was rated R18 plus in Australia. So I was like slightly younger than I should have been to watch that film. Um, and I'm trying to remember the details around it because I remember borrowing it from the library, but I don't remember if I managed to get away with it despite the fact that I wasn't 18, or if I had to get my mum to borrow it for me.
Hmm.
But I don't feel like it's something that my mum would have done. So I must have just gotten away with checking it out from the library, even though I was 17.
Yeah. I don't know. It was really interesting because I remember, like, we borrowed the laser disc. This is how long ago it
Oh
was.
my goodness. I
So, like,
never even had a laser disc player.
we borrowed the laser disc for Braveheart, and I do remember this specifically because for Braveheart it had to be three laser discs because that's how long the film
Wow.
was.
Yeah.
And I remember the 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 cashier or the attendant. He looked at me and he was like, "You're gonna be watching this by yourself?" I'm like, "No, I'm probably going to be. I'll watch this with probably my parents and my sister." And I remember he looked at my mum and he's just like, "Just keep an eye on him and what have you." And but we watched it, and obviously there were certain bits where there was a bit of nudity,
Mm.
violence, and swearing and all have you. But my parents were cool. They were just like, "Listen, this just don't be weird. Just let's just watch this." And I had a fantastic viewing. I thought it was an incredible film. And I don't like the idea that everything was censored. I had to cover my eyes to go out of the room. That would have changed my experience. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I think I'm definitely have was more inclined to watch stuff without my parents or family if it was like rated above uh what I should have been allowed to watch.
But the good thing
um
was, like, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
if you're exposed to that later on, like I remember watching some films that were I wasn't meant to watch, but it didn't affect me negatively. I was just like, whoa, okay, that was interesting, and then I moved on. That was all.
But actually, it was okay. So I remember the first time I watched The Birds with my dad,
Mm.
and it was rated PG, I believe, parental guidance. Like you can watch it semi young age, no big deal. Um, and when I watched it, I'm like, why the fuck is this only rated PG? Because I felt like it was like way more horror than a PG should be.
Mhm.
So it's like the reverse, like, oh, this is too much. No, I mean, I loved it. Like, it wasn't like didn't infect like give me nightmares or anything, but like it still felt like more horrific than a PG should have been in
I mean,
my mind.
it's surprising in some ways when things kind of surprise you. Like I remember I was watching a Mummy sequel, a direct-to-video Mummy sequel starring Jason Scott Lee, and it's not in the main continuity timeline. But without going into spoilers, there's a twist at the end. I remember this because I was watching it at a friend's house. There was a twist at the end, and I remember just walking away, just being really like kind of mortified by it, like really disturbed by it. And I was just like, I didn't see that coming, but I didn't like it. Like,
Uh,
yeah. So it's just, but it's something that stuck with me. So it's just one of those things.
yeah, so this is making me think, like, just to kind of bring this movie topic also back to the topic of the stream at hand, da- dates that hold significance. Are there any movies that you connect with a particular date that holds some significance for you? Like how I mentioned the Moonrise Kingdom, me watching that with my Malaysian ex on the same day that we first slept together. Like that date and that movie is like all interlocked for me. Do you have anything like that?
I do. It's actually it's really kind of comical about how dumb it is, but it's something that really makes me laugh. There were two that spring to mind. Mum and I watched every Marvel film, and thankfully we were able to watch Endgame together. So that was a great experience for both of us because Mum actually really got really hooked into
Nice.
Marvel. But the funniest thing, and it still cracks me up thinking about this. The last film my mum and I ever watched before she passed was Cocaine Bear.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and like it's so stupid. And I remember just we were watching it. I remember mum leaning over to me and just going, what is this? Like, what are we watching?" And I just remember both of us just being tearing up and just laughing. And yeah, so that's a film that always comes to mind. It makes me it doesn't it's not about the film itself, but it's the
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 memory
memory of
of
it.
spending that time with
Yeah,
your mum.
and
Yeah.
I just remember mom just going, "Oh my god, the doctor, the bear's taking cocaine," and her laughing about it. And so those memories definitely spring back to mind for me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Cocaine Bear, but this is reminding me of an Australian movie that I just watched this week called A Few Best Men, and it's about these sorry men from the UK who travel to Australia because one of them is marrying an Australian girl who her dad happens to be a senator or whatever, and he has this prize ram sheep that has this particular significant place in the home and everything. And for the stag night, the guys bring the sheep into their place and like where they're sleeping and like dress it up and like put lipstick and bullshit on it. And wake up in the morning, discover, oh shit, we need to get it back. But they also discover that they accidentally, one of them accidentally stole cocaine from the drug dealer that they bought marijuana from. And so, later on in the movie, the sheep ends up eating the cocaine baggies, and then we have to wait for it to shit them out again. Like it's disgusting. Anyway, that's the only connection I have to a movie where an animal
Involves
has
cocaine.
is involved with cocaine. Yeah. Like, oh my god, this I I don't usually like cringe really badly at films. Like I can take things and it's like, oh my god, this is so cringe. Like it just kept getting worse and worse. I'm like, oh my, like I'm like I cannot watch this film again. Like I will watch it to the end, but I'm like there's no way that I'm gonna be able to watch this film again. Like so cringe. Like
I mean,
how stupid are you guys?
yeah, and that's the thing that there are some films you watch that are so cringe, like, but at the same time, there are some films that are made so badly. Like for example, I love terrible movies. Like I think there's a few famous ones. There's an older one called Manos, the Lost Hands of Fate. I watched it and I loved it because of how bad it is. But my favorite bad film is The Room. It's just it's peak. So like yeah,
I know you've told me to watch it. I just watched the film that was based on that film, or about the making of that film. Since Mike was like, only watch that one, don't watch The Room.
no, you have to watch it. You have to. Honestly, if you do anything for the next week, please just do that. Go
Oh no, show it to me. Like watch it with me. Okay, make
okay,
me this promise. When I am back in Malaysia, you will sit me down and watch it
okay,
with
fair enough,
me.
fair enough.
Okay, so then that way you get to experience me experiencing this
Fair
film
enough.
for the first time. Just
But
imagine what that's gonna be like.
just as FYI, though, it might either make or break our friendship. So
Well, isn't it better to see that happening in real time rather than
yeah,
me watching it like, what the fuck did you make
hell
me
is it?
watch, Sharon?
Yeah,
Or like just ghosting you because I watched the film and then not telling you that
yeah.
that's why
Take
it's
care. And
not
I have a
talking
bye
to
bye
me.
then. It's Zoomy. Yeah, pretty much.
No,
Uh,
I don't think I could ever cut off a friendship just because I don't like a film that a friend of mine
you haven't seen The Room.
appreciates.
You
Right?
haven't seen The Room.
I still don't think that I would ever like. I can have disagreements with people about whatever, it's, people have different tastes in films. We have a lot of very similar tastes, that we discuss. But you know, no one is 100% on all the films that they like. But I do enjoy watching
Terrible movie.
film. No, I'm just gonna say watching films with friends, but like one of the I don't know, it's I enjoy having the experience of sharing something or introducing something that I love, like media, TV, movie, whatever, with somebody else who has never seen it and getting to see their experience with it for the first time. Um, it just brings me so much joy, especially if they also appreciate it. Like recently, I was catching up on the UK series called Red Dwarf, which has been
Cosmetic head.
that's right. I hadn't seen any from season 10 onwards, and I was watching it on Peacock here because I discovered it was on Peacock, and I am subscribed to it. And I happened to put on some episodes while, like, when my daughter was like, would wander in sometimes, and it she would end up like watching it from the background or like pretending that she wasn't watching it, and then eventually she came and sat next to me on the couch for a couple of episodes. Like clearly she was enjoying it, right? So she ended up watching like 5 episodes of season 11 with me.
Oh wow.
um, and I'm like that is an accomplishment because my daughter never watches live action anything.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and like the stuff that we watch together is generally just anime. Pretty much, like genuinely mainly anime. Especially over the past year it's just been anime. So the fact that she sat and watched that stuff with me and just joined because of the fact that I had it on, and she wandered in and got a few giggles here and there, and just like, yeah, yeah, I
That's
was like so excited. I was like, yes, yes.
that's awesome.
So yeah, so I'm all caught up on that series now, and
Actually, now that you
yeah.
mention it, it's been a long time since I've seen it. I might have to do a bit of a marathon today. Now that you mention it.
Oh, wait until I'm there. I will marathon the entire series with you because after I caught up on season 10 and 11 on Peacock, I ended up buying season 11 to watch, even though I could have watched it on Peacock. This way I got to watch it without ads. Yes. And I bought the Promised Land, which is season 13, but it's not labeled that way because I couldn't stream that without paying for it. Like, I'll buy it. And then I'm like, well, now I got to complete my collection. Right? So then I bought the other ones, even though I'd already seen them. And I already had season 1 through 8 on DVD from back when I lived in Australia. So I would be happy and overjoyed to marathon the entire series with you once I'm living
Cool.
there again. Yeah,
Cool.
because I really want to do a rewatch after having just watched the newer ones for the first time.
Yeah, like I got into it maybe about 20 years ago when I was at uni, and I haven't watched it in God knows how many years. So it's I think that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, it's such a great series. Recommendations for anyone who may be watching has never seen it. Definitely is one of those series that is universally loved in different countries, regardless of your nationality. I think.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. I suppose that's since we've gone off onto other tangents and we're not actually discussing dates that hold significance anymore, just like bullshitting about in movies, which I love in TV. We need to do another media stream soon.
That'd
Um, Yeah, we'll find a date for something like that. Next week, the only date that I can stream is Thursday, unless we do the weekend, I think, which is why I said like maybe we will do oh no, okay, we can't do International Talk Like a Pirates Day on well, it would be International Talk Like a Pirates Day for you because that's Friday.
Hmm.
Yeah, because I'm very, very busy next week. Like
We'll figure
I stay at home like a lot, right? Next week I am going to see an Australian stand-up comedian on Monday night.
it. Nice.
Tuesday night I'm going to be going to see the new Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie.
Oh, tell me how that goes because I saw that on my cinema listings and I was actually thinking about going myself. Tell me how it is.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to take my son, even though it's rated R. Bullshit. It's so ridiculous that it's rated R. Like, what the
Yeah,
fuck?
it's
Yeah, no, it's like, it
whatever.
should be, I don't know, there's no, like, I've read the manga version of this. There's not even any nudity in this part. It's just violence. So I guess there's like blood and stuff.
Which
But
is something we've
anyway,
seen in the anime. So yeah.
whatever. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing on Tuesday next week. Wednesday, I'm going to see a different comedian at a comedy club with a friend. So Thursday is the day to do it because Friday, I'm going to see Kim's Convenience, the stage play version of it, which was the original version of Kim's Convenience before it was turned into a TV series in
Ah,
Canada.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm
Cool, man.
seeing the stage play version. I'm excited for that because I did enjoy watching the series
Good.
on Netflix a couple of years back. So I'm curious to see because it's got they. I'm pretty sure it's the original cast. I think
Oh wow.
at least the I think the main person at the very least is also the writer.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Kim.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
That's dope.
I'm excited for that. So yeah, Thursday next week, if you are watching us and you want to find out, like that's when we should be streaming again, unless it is impossible for me to have any guests then. We'll see what
We'll figure
happens.
it
Yeah. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, hit
out.
the notification bell so you can find out for sure when we're actually going live, just in case it's not like announced far enough in advance for your liking. But also feel free to keep an eye out on the channel to see when, because I do. Even if I don't put them out a few days in advance, it is always up in advance on the particular day that I'm going live. Yeah, feel free to leave us some comments to let us know what you thought. Ask us some questions that we will bring up on a future stream. Happy to do that too. And until next time.